In this video, I'm going to be showing you the most cost-effective, cheapest way to make drawer boxes for any project where you need drawer boxes, whether that be a whole kitchen's worth of drawers, a couple of drawers for a vanity, a piece of furniture, a chest of drawers, whatever you may need, this is going to be the most cost-effective option. Before we jump in on how to make the drawer, it's pretty simple. We'll show the whole process here in a minute. I want to break down the price differences between this and a drawer you may also see, let's just say a hardwood drawer box that has dovetail joinery. So this is a drawer off of a recent project we did, a dresser, and it has 6 drawers, and I'll kind of be using that to compare here. So let's start off with the hardwood dovetailed drawer box. So if we were to look at hardwood drawer boxes for your side, front, and back material, that's going to be made out of usually maple. So to be fair, I bought 1 sheet of plywood to make all these drawers, so we'll be comparing that same amount of wood in hardwood for the price. So that comes out to $170 for 6 of these drawers just in the hardwood. Now this is pre-finished plywood. Hardwood doesn't come pre-finished, so that's something you also have to do. So we're gonna add $15 for finish in there. And then both of these methods, you still need a bottom, and most often it's a 1/4-inch plywood bottom. So that's the same price for both of the sets of drawers, and that's $23. Now if we add in the drawer slides also, that's $62 for 6 slides. That brings the total cost for all of these drawers for this one project to $270. Now if we divide that by 6, because we got 6 drawer boxes, that's about $45 per drawer box. Now let's compare that to this method. For those 6 drawers in this project, I made it out of 1 sheet of plywood. I used 1/2-inch pre-finished plywood that's pre-finished on both sides. The lumberyard I go to, I got that for $40 a sheet. It took 1 sheet, so we got $40 there. Of course, we got the 1/4-inch bottom, so that's another $23. We don't have to worry about finishing here, but we do need edge banding, so the edge banding is going to be $20 there, and then of course the drawer slides. So in total, for 6 drawers for this project came out to be $145. So that is in total a difference of over $100 for the single project in using this method versus a more traditional drawer box style. Now per drawer, this works out to, this method here, the plywood, works out to about $25 per drawer, and the hardwood method works out to be about $45 per drawer. So in just the cost savings on the material alone, you're looking at almost half the cost with this method versus a hardwood drawer box. So let me show you how to make this drawer box. So the first thing we're going to do is take our large sheet of plywood and make some rips. Now the width of these rips are going to equal the height of your drawer. So for example, the top drawer on this dresser was 5 inches, so I made some 5-inch rips, and so on and so forth for each of your drawer sizes. Once you have all your long rips made, the next thing you want to do is edge band one edge of them. Now you could use the peel and stick edge banding, or you could use the iron-on like I'm using here. Either way, you want to edge band your rip before you go cutting it up into your lengths. Yes, this will waste some of the edge banding material, but it will save you a lot of time. And now I'll show you how we're going to trim that edge banding at the router table. So over here at the router table, we've got a pretty simple setup. Just a pattern bit here with the bearing set flush to the fence here. And under the fence here, we have the fence set up on some 1/2-inch blocks so that the excess of the edge banding can hang off in here as we go to cut it. It'll ride along that bearing, and it should flush cut everything nicely. So now that we have our edge banding applied and trimmed, looking all nice, it's time to start cutting our pieces to length. Now the sides of your drawer box are going to be dependent on what size drawer slides you are using. So for instance, here I'm using some 18-inch undermount drawer slides. Even if you're using side mount, it's going to be the same as whatever drawer slide you're using. So if you're using an 18-inch undermount, the sides are going to be 18 inches. If you're using the 18-inch side mount, the sides are going to be 18 inches. Now your front and back pieces are going to be a little bit different depending on what type of slides you use, and you'll need to look at the instructions that come with your drawer slides to kind of figure that out. But one important note to keep in mind here is when cutting this plywood, especially this pre-finished plywood I'm working with here, you want to be careful with tear out. Pick your cuts slow and take your time. That way the material doesn't tear out. So if I didn't mention before, the joinery method we're going to be using for these drawer boxes is pocket hole screws. Now this is pre-finished plywood material, and I want to be able to glue those joints where we are pocket screwing So at the router table here, I have this set up to take just a wee bit off of the face of our side pieces, so that when our front and back piece, which will have the pocket screws, butts up against that, we have a surface we can glue to. The pre-finished surface of this plywood, glue is not going to adhere to it very well, but taking a little bit of that pre-finished material off, leaving bare wood, the glue is going to adhere a little better, making that joint stronger. So I've just got a straight bit in there, set the height set to the thickness of our material, and the fence set to the depth of cut of that rabbet. And it is literally, it's like a 32nd of an inch. So I cut my front and backs a 1/16 longer, 32nd on each side. That'll give us some glue surface, making that joint a little bit stronger. So we're gonna get to routing all of those pieces. And before we finish up these drawer boxes, don't forget to like and subscribe. Again, I appreciate all of your guys' support here on the channel.
And just like when we cut these pieces to length, you want to take this cut very slow. That way you don't get any tear out along the face of the plywood. And you also want to follow it up with a push block, so when you exit the cut, especially on your edge band side of your board, you don't have any tear out there as well. And the next step is going to be adding the 1/4 inch groove to accept our 1/4 inch plywood that we are using for the bottom of these drawer boxes. You could do that many different ways. You could do it at the router table. I'm doing it at the table saw. You could use a dado stack. I'm just using a regular table saw blade and scooting my fence over. So once we have this groove in all of our pieces, our sides, front, and backs, we're now going to take our back piece back to the table saw and rip off the groove plus the little extra material below it. And this will allow us so that when we assemble the drawer box frame, we can actually just slide the 1/4 inch panel in after having the sides and front and back assembled, instead of trying to assemble the front, back, and sides with that 1/4 inch bottom. Just makes the assembly go a little bit easier. So we've got all of our drawer pieces, sides, fronts, and backs milled. The backs, again, do not have a groove. They are the same width as the side piece to the grooves. So you can see, just like that. And then we've gone and added pocket holes to the front and backs because they join to the sides. And I used a micro pocket hole jig, which uses a smaller drill bit and smaller screws, since this is 1/2 inch material. And then we glue and screw that together. And this one's already mostly assembled. So here is the reason why we rip down that back piece, is so we are able to slide the bottom of the drawer in nice and easily. And then the last step will be to screw this into this back piece here to lock it in place. So I'm going to go ahead and get the rest of these drawers assembled. Again, it's pretty simple. Glue and pocket hole screws, and then
slide the back in. And that gives you this nice drawer box here. So let's think for a second. I know I mentioned the hardwood drawer as having dovetail joinery. Now, obviously, if you were going to do a dovetail joinery, that's going to take even more time. But that's not necessarily comparing apples to apples here. Let's assume that you use the same joinery method, but we're just using hardwood. Even if you do that, you still have to finish the hardwood. So whether you're doing a wipe-on polyurethane, hard wax oil, or you're spraying the drawers, especially if you've got a lot of drawers, 6 drawers, that's going to take up a lot of time. And that time is valuable. Now, we've already gone over the cost savings, but the savings in time alone, just for the fact that you don't have to apply finish to this drawer because it's already finished, is a big plus. Now, this drawer box definitely has its place. I think in any kitchen, even a nice custom kitchen, drawer boxes like this can help to not only save you money, but maybe your customer money. Because not everybody cares about a hardwood drawer with dovetails. I mean, most people don't, honestly. This is perfectly acceptable to be used in, I think, any kitchen project, as long as your client's okay with it, and as long as you're okay with it. If you're just making this for your own kitchen, this is going to save you a lot of time and a lot of money, because most kitchens have anywhere from 10, 15, I've done kitchens with 20, 30 drawers in them, and a whole house worth of drawers. This method will save you a lot of time and again, money on the material. So there you have it, the cheapest, most cost-effective way that I know of to make completely finished drawers for any project you need a lot of drawers for. If you've enjoyed this video, please leave a like, comment down below if you've used this method yourself, or if you're gonna give it a shot, or if you completely disagree, let me know why. Again, I appreciate all of your support on this channel. It means the world to me. Subscribe if you're not already, and if you wanna see the project that all these drawer boxes were made for, go ahead and check this video out here, and yeah. We'll see you later. Have a good one.